Hello and welcome back to this tutorial series on AWS and how to set up your virtual private cloud and your in this case in this particular tutorial. This is the second lab in this series. We're going to set up our EC2 instances, which I have a typo there, but please forgive me. It's a typo. We're going to set up two EC2 instances. But what is an EC2 instance? A EC2 instance is a Amazon Elastic Cloud Compute, that's the name of it, and it provides scalable computing capacity within the AWS cloud. And then this EC2 instance is pretty much a virtual machine that can be provisioned on the AWS cloud, and it needs to have its security and networking and its managed storage configured, and it allows you to scale up and scale down to handle any requirements any requirements or any spikes in popularity, meaning what if your website is starting to receive more load, instead of having your EC2 instance just sit there and just run out of space or starts or the network starts throttling or your users start experiencing particular problems with the website because the EC2 instance is under load. If you have one, you can set up another AWS resource called auto scaling group to basically help the instance scale out, or you could scale up by or you could scale up as well, have other resource to help with scaling up, or you could just go ahead and set up an elastic load balancer or to distribute traffic evenly between multiple instances, or however you want to do it. The AWS cloud gives you that flexibility to do that. Um, and also, what I mean by scale up means go ahead and add more CPU cores to the instance, or more RAM, or more storage. And scaling out means scaling out while using ESG. You're just adding more instances to help with the load that's being targeted on that particular website or web application. So now in this particular lab, what we're going to do is we're going to set up our EC2 instances. We're going to select the availability zones that these instances are going to belong to, and then what we're going to do, we're going to configure our security groups, set up our key pairs, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to launch our EC2 instances using a Bootstrap script, and that's going to install Apache. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and head over to our AWS console. All right, so we're back in our AWS console, and let's go ahead and set up our EC2 instances. But first, what we want to do, we want to go ahead and go to our services. And I forgot to show you guys, you can actually search two ways to go to your resources, your AWS resource. You go to the recently visited, or if you go to the search bar up here, just type in EC2. Oh, my keyboard works. EC2, or you go to the services drop down box right here. You can select from any of the AWS services to find whatever service you want. Or you could do what I did and just put stars next to whichever ones that are you use the most. All right, so in our case, we're gonna go ahead and go to EC2. All right, so now we're gonna go to our instances. Well, first, let's go ahead and set up our security groups first. Before we do anything else, we want to set up our security groups and our key pairs. All right, so I'm gonna give our security group a name. And our security groups, they act as a kind of like a firewall at the instance level, just to give an explanation of what a security group is. You know, it works only at the instance level though, not the network level. That would be the ACL that works at the network level. Now, just to make sure, while we're creating our security group, you need to make sure that we select the VPC that we that we created, because it automatically point it towards the default VPC, which we don't want that. We don't want that to happen, because if we would have went ahead and went throughout the rest of this tutorial and just had the default security group selected, Then when we go to provision our EC2 instance, it would not have shown a EC2 instance for our lab VPC. So it would not shown as a VPC group at all for our for our uh, for our lab VPC uh, for our lab VPC. So and also now let's go ahead and set up our rules. All right, so we want to have SSH available. And we want to make sure we have HTTP. All right, we want to make sure that we have our source. Okay, and so I'm not exposing my public IP address to the world. I'm just putting it. I'm just putting the putting our SSH. I'm just putting in allow anywhere allow everybody to be able to SSH into the instances and connect over HTTP. And also, I don't need to add any rules here because uh, security groups are stateful in AWS, where if I add the rules here in the inbound, they automatically get provisioned into the outbound rules as well, so, and vice versa. So I don't need to set up the SSH outbound rules and HTTP outbound rules. All right. So let's go ahead and create our security group. And let's go ahead and create our key pairs. Right, key pair, we're gonna call this our web server key. And we're going to create our key pair. I'm gonna use this putty one. Save file. All right, so now we have our key pair created. We have our security groups created. So let's go ahead and we'll create our EC2 instances. All right, so let's go ahead and launch EC2 instance. Well, I forgot. See, you want to click on instance. I forgot to mention, when we do go to our EC2 instance, you want to go ahead and hit instance first. Then you want to go ahead and hit launch instance. All right, you want to select our Amazon AMI, and you want to make sure if you're in the free tier, if you want to use if you're still in free tier, because you can create a AWS account and be able to use some of these instances for free, some of these resources for free, but they all will be under something called the free tier eligible, the free tier section, because you want to just research, what resources are available for free tier and also what are the limitations of the free tier account. Um, and that just allows you to be able to spin up, EC2 instance for free without being charged. Um, and well, in this case, EC2 instances. But you can do the same thing for RDS and any of the other AWS resources as well. But in our case, we're gonna go ahead and select the T2 Micro. You want to go ahead and click Next. And okay, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna select our network, we're gonna go to our VPC, and we want to go ahead and this is going to be the first machine, so we want to go ahead and put it into East 1A, and want to make sure that this is enabled, but it's already enabled by default because that's going to auto assign the public IP. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and come down here where we could add our bootstrap script. So okay, we want to install Apache. Okay, so let's go ahead and do, and this is where you enter the bootstrap script if I haven't said that yet. All right, so we're gonna do bin bash. All right, so we want to make sure that one thing that is done, that we update our instance. We want to go ahead and install HTTPD. After HTTPD is installed, we want to make sure that it's that is started. Then we want to make sure that it's enabled in case the server is restarted or rebooted. And in AWS, for this is something I encountered on AWS. I don't know if this is something that is new with Apache. Well, I noticed that the uh the index.html file does not get created automatically any longer. But I guess I'm just I guess this is something that's new. I guess this is just with AWS, but yeah, it does not get created any longer. So you want to make sure that in the what is it, the HTML, the var www HTML directory, that um the index.html file is indeed there. And you want to go ahead and you want to make and since there's no content in there, let's go ahead and add some content. Let's go ahead and do um hello, my name is, then we'll just have it so the server provides its host name. And also this is a wildcard right here that I'm using. Basically, and again, what they call them, environment variables for Linux, I guess. And what it does is it basically has the server automatically puts host name here instead of me having to give it a name. Uh, but yeah, that's what that means. All right, so we have it, so that's updating. It's installing HTTP. It's starting it, and then it's enabling it, so in case it restarted. And then also, I didn't also made almost made a mistake. So I'll make sure that it's forwarding that output, because what this is doing, I'm going to explain what this is doing. If I would have sat here and went on with the configuration of everything, and I just left this here without this added command here, what it would have done after the server installed everything and made the index.html file, it would just output it, hello, my name is whatever the server name is, and that would have been it. And then when we would have been looking for it in the browser, it would not have been there. So what I'm doing is I'm doing this, you know, as greater than less than sign, alligator mouth thing, and basically just saying, okay, just use this greater than symbol, um, and we're gonna forward all this information. We're gonna forward that output into this index.html file right here. All right, so now let's go ahead and add traffic, but don't review and launch. We're gonna go ahead and add storage, leave everything default. We're gonna add it to, we want to go to tags. I'll go ahead and add a tag. I'm gonna add a name there, name tag. And what we want to do, I'm gonna call this WS dash AMZ1. So we know that this is web server 1. Configure our security group. We already have a security group. Our default security group is right here that we've created. Review and launch. So just review the information that you have right here. Make sure everything, all your information details and everything is fine, is to your liking. Then just go ahead and launch your EC2 instance. And then on your course, when you launch, it's going to ask you to choose your key pair. So if you already created our key pair, it's already right here. So we're going to go ahead and hit launch. And our instance is launching. So now let's go ahead and view our instance. And there you go, it's launching. All right, so let's go ahead, while this one's launching, let's go ahead and start our other instance. All right, we're going to do the same thing. And also what an AMI is, I know I didn't explain what an AMI is. An AMI is pretty much it's just a machine image. Basically, it's an image of a machine. Uh, so think of like you took an image of your Windows PC or your Linux PC, and you just basically um, using that same image to provision other machines in a way. Trying to make it non-techy, but I should expect people that are learning AWS to be more tech-like. So I'm just trying to be I'm trying to just basically break things down as easy as I can. Please forgive me if I'm trying to okay, so make sure we're doing using T2 micro, but please forgive me if I'm trying to be a little bit too uh trying to, dumb down everything. All right, so now once again we select our VPC, then we select our subnet 2, then we go straight down here to our also make sure this is enabled, of course. Now we want to make sure that we're putting our putting this again, yum dash y install httpd. First, forgot about updating it. Dash y install. Nope, update. And once your patch is installed, you want to go ahead and do a system control start httpd. httpd, yep. And you want to do a system control enable httpd. Then you want to go ahead, you want to attach the I was getting ready to type it out. www.html slash index.html, and then you want to go ahead and forward the information. Hello, my name is hostname. Right, so once again, this is the same thing that we had before. It's not, keep forgetting. uh keep forgetting. Like I said, I'm not doing this. I'm doing it straight off my head. So, but also this one thing that you could do if you wanted to, because you don't really have to always have your Bootstrap script add. You don't have to type it all in. You can add it as a file too. But I didn't get the chance to make the file beforehand, so just typing everything out by hand. But yeah, but you could add it as a file, and you could add your address. You could browse your computer and add the Bootstrap file here, and you don't have to type everything out like I just did. All right, so let me make sure that everything's good. Remove spaces. Oops. All right, so we're good. Go here. Keep everything the same here. We're gonna go ahead and add another name here. We're gonna add a name. Call this just MZ2. Next, click security group. Select our security group that we've created. Right, review everything. And let's go ahead and launch this bad boy. And we're going to select our key pair has already been selected. We're going to go ahead and launch. All right, so we have both our instances are up and running. Our first one should be ready to go. So let's go ahead and check our details, because since we do need a test to make sure that our VPC did go ahead and issue an IP address from the CIDR block, which is from the 10.0.0.0/20 subnet, 20 CIDR block, and we need to make, in this particular instance that we've created, we attached it not only to that particular CIDR, but also we create our own subnet within it, which has a /24 subnet, which is supposed to be 10.0.1.0/24. So if we look right here, we see that that machine 1 should be connected on East 1A, and it does have a East 1A IP address, which is within the 10.0.1.0 subnet. So let's also make sure that And also we see that the VPC did issue a DNS to both for both public and private. We do see that it's connected to our VPC. And yes, it is connected to subnet 1. And then let's go ahead and make sure it's connected to East 1A. We're going to go here. Yep, it's connected to East 1A. So our machine is ready to go. And also you can do system checks and stuff like that if you want to, but we didn't enable, and a CloudWatch is enabled by default to monitor everything. But we go ahead and monitor our machine, and CloudWatch should give you instances, give you information every 5 minutes by default. It doesn't right now. It's not going to show us anything because 5 minutes haven't passed since the instance has started. So if we want to get matrices right away, we could enable detailed monitoring, which that will cost money to do that. And if you want a free tier account, I don't think you want to pay for that at the moment, unless you just have the funding for it. But yeah, but let's go ahead and go inside this instance and just go ahead and connect to it. Right. Right. So let's go ahead and we're inside our instance. So just like before, we see that it has an IP within our subnet 1's range. And let's go ahead and check to see if Apache is installed and ready to go. Status HTTPD. Yep, is ready to go. So we see that this instance is ready to go. Let's go ahead and go here. And also let's make sure that let's also make sure too that the instance is that the file was created. Yep, the index.html file was created. Now let's go ahead and go to our instance. Go back to our console, and then we go ahead and just open up the DNS. Let's open this up, and we should get a it's circling a little bit more than I expected, but let's see. Let's check something out. All right, so right now, let's go ahead. So we get issues like this. If you can't connect to your security group, to your instance, the best thing to go to is your security group, because that's the one that's allowing traffic into the instance. So let's go ahead and check our security group. All right, so let's go to our inbound rules. All right, so everything looks fine. So let's see. Can we ping? Okay, we should be able to ping out. So we should ping. Let's see. All right, so we're getting ping responses. All right, so let's see. Our security group is fine, but then let's check one more thing, because this is one thing that most new browsers are doing. They're automatically searching for HTTPS. So let's go back to our browser, and you see, yes, it's searching for HTTPS name. So okay, let's go ahead and change that. All right, so we want to go ahead and change that. And we want to change that to remove this, and we're good to go. So, but let's say if you do want to add HTTPS onto it. Let's say if you do want to add HTTPS onto it. We're gonna go ahead, and also I know that one of the links in the drop down was showing my email, so I blocked that out, of course. But yeah, so let's say you do want to connect over HTTPS. All right, so that's one problem that we're gonna have. So cause now we know that this instance has had a problem. Um, we know that this instance had a problem. So we know that this one's going to experience the same issue. So let's just go ahead and go to our security groups. And then we go ahead and go back to our security group and we go ahead and click edit inbound rules. And we're gonna go to select HTTPS. And we're gonna go ahead and just have so that everybody can do that. All right, and also another thing to let you know, though we was able to ping google.com and everything from the instance itself, we can't ping our instance from we can't ping our instance at all because ping is disabled by default on the is disabled by default on these instances. So if I were to try to, let's go, now that's good to show. Let me just show you that real quick. I make that modification right there. All right, so now I should be able to go to, okay, HTTPS, whack whack. Oh, sorry. Go back here. Now we should be able to get one of those security warning things. Actually, it didn't work. Okay, well, at least we know how to fix it because it doesn't have SSL. That's the main reason why it's not making the change. But yeah, but we do have it so that we connect to it, and then let's go ahead and check connect to the other one. All right, so let's connect to this one, and this one has an IP of 8.2 8. Oh, well, not 8. 10.0.2.98, and we see that our VPC did provision a DNS for it, public and private. We see that it is connected to the subnet 2. And then let's go ahead and make sure that it's connected to the East 1B, and it did. So everything looks good. So now let's go ahead and try connecting into it. Connect. Right. So we're inside of our instance. So let's go ahead and try to, once again, just follow the same process. We did just check that out, but I just wanted to reiterate again to check right from the instance. All right, and we want to check to make sure that system control status HTTPD, that's running, and we want to check our var www HTML directory, and that's there. So, and we should go ahead and go here, and we should go to here, and we should be able to connect to our instance. Probably might fail, which it did. And let's go ahead and just remove this S, and we're good to go. So we were able to connect to both our instances. Now that's one thing I do want to make note of. And like I said, ping is disabled by default. So even though that we were able to ping each other, we was able to ping each other. I was able to ping google.com from the instance. However, that's not the same if I go to these instances and do the same, you know. So it's this one's 0.25. So let's go back to this one. If I ping this instance, see, I'm not getting no ping responses. And it'll be the same vice versa because that's the security group blocking IMCP by default. So, but let's say if I go to our security group, go to our security group, go to inbound rules, edit rules, add, and IMCP. Here it is. IMCP version 4. And then this is where we could have it so that we could have somebody outside to do it. Like we could ping from our computer and stuff like that. Anybody outside in the VPC could do it just by selecting this one. But I'm going to have it so that the instances only can communicate with each other because I don't feel like because I'm not going to ping the instance. I have no need to. I know they were up online, but let's say if you did, that'll be one way of doing it. Or you could select the security group. Like if you're an admin and you're like, okay, I need to be able to ping it. You as an admin should have the credentials to do that. But now I'm gonna have it so that the instances themselves can ping it, can ping the instance, can ping each other. So now if I go back here and I go up, right? So this is ah now it's coming. One thing about about the security groups, it's one thing about security groups, the minute you make a change, that change is immediately applied. You don't have to wait for it. Just like how when I saw that when I pinged it, it didn't do anything. I remembered that I did not save it. That did not save it. So what I did was I went ahead, I edited when it went back and saved it, and it immediately started responding with ping responses. Okay, so just to reiterate, we went ahead and we provisioned our EC2 instances. We went ahead and we've checked our instances out. We've checked to make sure that our VPC provisioned, well, basically issued IP addresses, and it also gave the two instances both public and private DNS names. We made sure that it was connected to the correct VPC and also the correct subnet that we've applied them to. We made sure that it was connected to the correct availability zone. And then we went on ahead and made sure that they were able to connect and come up with make sure Apache was ready to go. We made sure that the Bootstrap script installed Apache, make sure the machines were updated. And then we was able to connect to them via over the internet. We just had that one minor issue of troubleshooting that we're gonna go through, but that it's good to go through that because you not every time something's going to be is going to go right on the first try. And also just to show you that that monitoring, we have spent more than 5 minutes probably on these machines. So you see that we have some traffic now coming in on through CloudWatch. This is actually CloudWatch giving these matrices. Uh, but that'll be another tutorial to go over CloudWatch and its alarms and things like that. But yeah, so we have it so that all our machines are ready to go. Our VPC is configured correctly, and you know we got these machines up and running, ready to go. So I thank you for tuning in, watching this tutorial. I will see you in the next one. All right, peace.